All right. Um, Bear with me just a moment. Here, I just want to, make sure I get everything up and running all right here. Um, and then we'll jump right into the show. Let me just check the voice. Let me just drop a fresh link down in the chat real quick, and then we'll just jump right into the show. So anyway, I of course want to start off with saying Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Yahweh, which is the name of the Most High, and Yahushai, which is the name of the only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And this is just going to be a open mic, tonight. I entitled the video, which is subject to change depending on what goes down. But I entitled the video, "Our Salvation is Near." Okay, now again, that's subject to change regarding, whatever goes down on the show, but man, I was just reading, or I shouldn't say reading. I was just watching, right, listening to a video, a couple videos, regarding, everything that's going on right now with with this juice, right? Which you know what I'm talking about. You got to use code word, because on this platform you have to, right? But I saw a brother said over in New York that they can't go into gyms anymore without, getting that without getting that juice, right? Without getting that thing. Okay. So that's just, a first step to it, man. And then I also saw something new about that, those who don't get the juice, you can't you can't fly for lack of better words, right? You can't, go on a plane, right, to travel. And that fulfills the what is that? That's in I want to say Second Ezra's the 15th chapter. A man shall desire to go into a city, but he will not be able, right? And that's what we saw, at the beginning of, last year, if everything, you could desire to go into a place, but they were, locking the cities down. I'll give an example, right? We came up from no, from Florida, we drove to Easton, right? Um, we had to drive through there. Okay, so we had to go through, a few states to get to, the, Pennsylvania area, right? So around somewhere in there, we had to get to. Um, so, I remember, they were talking about possibly, shutting certain, states down, right? They were gonna, close certain states off to people coming from out of state. Why? Because, well, back then they didn't know what was going on with this, this thing. All right. But, I mean, hell, here we are. It's almost been 2 years. It hasn't been 2 years yet, but it's almost been 2 years that this thing has been, going all around the world for, man. So it just shows you that the situation, in the world right now, this ain't going nowhere, man. All right, this thing isn't going anywhere, right? It's here. Hey, it's here to stay, for the long haul, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So, these guys, man, I remember, you know, these, these Christian churches where they're talking about, well, how about we, pray to Jesus that, maybe it will go away so that next week, maybe we can, go back to church to see our friends again. That obviously didn't happen. So why did, for you Christians out there, why did, sweet Jesus, not answer your prayers then? You know why? I'll tell you why. Because first of all, the Most High is the one who, had brought these plagues upon the world, right? Amos 3:6. If there is evil in the city, has the Lord not done it? And it has a question mark there. Oh, which I want to get into something like that in a moment because I was on what was that guy, right? Nephilim 3. I went on one of their shows. I didn't join. I didn't click the link just because I didn't feel like it was like 3 in the morning. he was live, or 2 in the morning, something like that, late at night, right? So I didn't click the link to join him because he had like 10 people on with him. So, I was just talking in the chat with him the live chat, which, is the one you can talk with me on here. So I was doing that and I asked him a question regarding, does God make evil? And, of course they, were doing that, I would call it Hebrew hopscotch, right? Or that, Christian shuffle. That's what they were doing, right? They were doing that, that Christian, shuffle, right? Tap dancing around those scriptures. You know what I'm saying? So I brought up, the verses that speak about, they literally say in the text that the Lord is the one who does those things, both the good and the wicked. It says that. So what they were doing, and basically what it all boiled down to, is they were just saying something ridiculous along the lines of that yes, it is true that the Lord does do that, but you have a choice, right? You have a choice, you know, to do good or do evil. That's basically what it all boiled down to. I'm thinking to myself, well, how the hell does do you have a choice in the matter? If the question was, does the Most High make those things? What does a choice have to do? And they're basically, as I said, they were really just tap dancing around the scriptures, okay? Because they really didn't know how to answer it because that goes against everything that they were told about about the scriptures, okay? Because then he goes on to rant about how Christ wants to save everybody, how everybody can receive salvation, okay? That Christ loves everybody. That's clearly not in the scriptures. Where the hell does it say that in the scriptures? That Christ loves everyone. That's not in the scriptures. Guys are just saying that because that's how they were raised. And I'll give an example, right? When you deal with their favorite, scripture, which is we all know it by heart, John, 3:16, right? So I don't even have to quote that. You already know what I'm talking about. But if you read that, right, they'll sit there and say, well, see, that proves that the Lord loves everybody. It's like, well, wait a second. Well, who is the world then? Because if you go to, what is that, Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 17, it says that Israel is a world of its own. But then if you also go to, what is it, John chapter 17 and verse 9, Christ said that he prays for the ones that the Lord given him out of the world, but he prays not for the world, right? So Christ doesn't pray for the world. Okay, so then the question is, well, wait a second. Well, if Christ didn't pray for why would Christ not pray for the world if he died for the whole world? What sense does that make? So you see that cuts, the doctrine, that they're on their teaching, right? Which is just, folly, right? It's a bunch of nonsense, man. Okay, bear with me just a moment here. I just want to check something. Hmm, Okay. Um, so going back to what I was saying, our, salvation, right? The salvation of the elect, is truly near right now, man. The scriptures speak about, when you see all these things, come to pass, that is a sign that your salvation is near, right? That redemption is near, right? So this didn't happen back in 70 AD because I had, some coons, that came on the come up board the other day who were, they were talking about, you know, like this one cat, which I gotta do a video sponsor this, but he was saying that um well, let me see. There's a couple of them I want to address. Oh, one guy's on there saying that Babylon the Great can't be America because it says it's a city then. So then he says, well, America is in the city, which first of all, a city is defined by its inhabitants. Okay, that's why I gave him the example. If you go to Alaska, right? The people in Alaska will still refer to themselves as Americans. If you go down to Florida, you know, people will still refer to themselves as Americans. If you go to Texas, okay, people will still call themselves Americans. If you go to Louisiana, people will still refer to themselves as Americans. If you go to New York City, people will still refer to themselves as Americans. And now, why did I bring that up? Is because they're all, a citizen of this great city, which is America, right? They call it a nation, but it's really just one big city. Okay, and that's why you have one head of the city, right? The president, right? The ruler of the nation right now. Of course, you have little, rulers, right? Governments and mayors, that they're under the supreme dictator, which is the president they call him today. Okay, so America is one big city. Okay, so that argument that can't be America because it says the city. Well, America is a city. So I mean, you guys don't know what you're talking about. But it's funny because that was his only proof, against what we're saying. And I dealt with that coon before in the past, man. That's all they can really do is, just come, with one argument, just like with our friends, over at ITR, right? The Tried and Refine, group they call themselves, which is a break off of Great Millstone. But they're over there talking about how Babylon the Great is the Vatican City. And the one proof of that is they bring up, well, what about where it says that she was arrayed in purple and scarlet? So they'll bring up a picture of the Catholic Church and say, well, see what that proves, that it's talking about that. Hey, well, these cats, man, these guys don't know what the hell they're talking about. I mean, hell, I can jog through the Vatican City in 40 minutes, man. It's only 2 miles long. Look it up. Which, by the way, fun fact, the Vatican City has the world record of being the smallest country in the world. You can look that up as well. But that's Babylon the Great, though. I mean, these cats got to be smoking something, man. In all honesty, they have to be. I mean, how can somebody say something so retarded, so ridiculous? Um. Anyway, there. I had to also address this. You had this one coon on the comment board. Damn, what is this guy's name? Um. I don't think it's Douglas. It's something. Which wouldn't be surprised if he shows up here soon. You know what I'm saying? So there's one coon on there. Forget the cat's name, but he's on there talking about that. Oh yeah, ETT, you're just a heathen, right? You're just trying to, you're just jealous because we're, the Israelites, right? You're a heathen, right? He was on Mine of God's page, calling him, a heathen as well. But here's the main kick in the ass, so to speak, with these guys. You acknowledge what they're saying, and you ask them, okay, brother, I hear what you're saying. But here's the catch. The scriptures clearly say that Israel will look like all nations. You bring that up to them, they completely skip that part. It's like, if you put up a comment, they'll deliberately skip over that and act like you're not responding to what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? That's what these guys are doing, man. So I went back and forth with this guy, and all he really can do is just sit there and, talk, slander and just, make up things. And then when you call him out on it, he's like, well, he doesn't know. Right, just like Mind of God made a statement in his past live stream. He said, the world should be called I don't know, right? Just because of, the the stupidity. Hey LOP, hey Shalom, what's going on, LOP? Welcome to the show. Let's see real quick. Okay. Um, so yeah, man, as I said, dealing with these guys out here, man, you just got to be careful, with a lot of these guys, man, because there's, a lot of guys, in this thing, right, in this, so-called truth community, right? They're out there pushing nonsense, man. Like I'll give, credit where it's due. Sakari's on there, and they're saying, a lot of good things, right? They're saying a lot that is correct, but they also say a lot which is incorrect. So you gotta take the meat and you gotta leave the bones, which that's actually a good name for a future live stream. You gotta take the meat and leave the bones, man. Right? That's what you have to do with a lot of these guys in the truth. All right. Same thing with our friend, mind of God. You got to take the meat and you got to leave the bones. Because he definitely says some stuff which is absolutely true, but then he also says some stuff which is false. Okay, he says some stuff which is true, and I'll give a couple examples. About how God's black. That the real Jews are so-called African Americans. That Babylon's America. That God makes good and evil, right? Flat Earth. Just to name a couple that he does teach, which are true, which are correct. Those would be the meat, right? But there's also some bones in there as well, such as that the elect will, not have to go through the great tribulation, such as, the two witnesses being two actual men that come into America to, let's see, what else does he say? Oh, that there won't be slavery in God's kingdom. That's clearly incorrect. I mean, there's 20 plus verses that literally say that there will be servitude in Christ's kingdom. You bring that up to him and he's just like, it doesn't say that. It's like, okay, well, how about we read it and then we can discuss it? I mean, the scripture, I'll give an example. Oh, and these would be represent the bones, just to put that out there. Okay. The ones I just previously mentioned that he teaches, these would be considered the bones of the doctrine, right? You have the meat, but you also have the bones. But going back to what I was saying, to give an example, would be what Revelation chapter 2 and verse 26. It says, well, I'll quote it. To him who overcomes, he will gain power over the nations, and he will rule them with a rod of iron. So you ask him about that, and he doesn't know what that's talking about. It's like, oh, okay. But slavery isn't in God's kingdom, though, according to him. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, as I said, you got to take the meat, but you also have to leave the bones, with a lot of these guys out here, man. Okay, because as I said, it is true that some guys are teaching, correct, but they're also teaching incorrect. Okay, so you got to give credit where it's due, but then you also have to take away credibility. All right, and I'll give an example. Sakari loses credibility because they're on there talking about that you ain't a man till you're 20 years old. That's nonsense, man. That's not in the scriptures. So they lose credibility from teaching nonsense, such as that. You gotta, listen to these guys with a damn, with a grain of salt, right? Take it with a grain of salt. That's what you have to do, man. Okay, and as I said, if you listen to what we teach, right, what IETT teach, take it with a grain of salt, right? Look into, the things that I'm saying, and then you can validate it for yourself, to see if it is or is not true. Which I got to give credit to Tahar, because Tahar said, "Hey, look, if you hear what we're saying and you don't agree, just look into it for yourself, and then you'll be able to conclude that they're right." So that, hey, that's certainly true, man. So you got, you have to give credit where it's due. Okay. Let's read a comment real quick. Hello P said, not much. I did watch the Mind of God's last podcast too. Was a bit heated in the comments. Oh yeah. Yeah, man. I was even speaking about that. You had the one coon on there, um, which I don't remember the guy's name, but he was on there talking about, oh, what you guys are. You guys, are heathens, right? You guys are damn devil demons, right? They damn devil demons. You guys are heathens, right? Trying to take our heritage. So then I said, well, wait a second, brother. I mean, do you not know that you are going to have Israelites who look like all nations? That's clearly in the scriptures. You bring that up to them, and they don't even address that. It's like I ask him a question, it will literally fly over his head. All right, it would literally fly over the coon's head, and he won't address it. It's just like, well, you're wrong. It's like, okay, well, if that is true, you should be able to provide evidence to support your statement. And if you cannot, well, then who the hell are you then? You know what I'm saying? So I invited the guy to come onto the show to refute what we're saying, but he didn't even address that. He was just like, "You guys are, you know, heathens." It's like, hey, look, I told the guy, hey, look, man, you can either respond to what I'm saying, Okay, you can either respond and we can have a friendly discussion back and forth because that's cool. I want to be cool with the brother. I don't at all want to, you know, be, hateful towards him. I try to be respectful and have a decent discussion. But I told him, hey, look, man, you're sitting on there, saying a lot of nonsense. But it's like, hey, look, I asked you a question. Please respond to my question. If you can't do that, well, you can get lost. It's very simple. So I told him that 5 times, that hey, just answer my question. And I saw when mine guy was on there with, mine God asked him a question and the guy never responds. So he had to ask him the question again, like 10 times, right? And the guy never responded to it. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, look, I told the guy, hey, look, man, you can either respond and we can have a discussion or you can get lost. That's what I said. I said it respectfully and friendly to them, and they still can't get it. You know what I mean? But then you're the bad guy because well, you're some type of like, you're stealing our book is what they said. I mean, come on. These guys are just, these guys are insane, man. Anyway, let me just hit the comments. LP said, when are you gonna do the round 3 with the mind of God debate? That's gonna come up soon. Now I don't know. Let me say this. My schedule, let me just say this. I don't know what I'm gonna be doing, when the day comes. Okay. I don't know what my schedule is. So we gotta work around that. Okay. As I said, I'm in a tough position right now. So I definitely want to do that very soon. But we're gonna have to figure something out, where I'm able to do it. As I said, man, if I was to get into it, it's unbelievable, the amount of obstacles and hoops I have to jump through just to be able to do a live show. And I'm sitting in a hot ass car right now, man. Okay, so as I said, that guy got air conditioning, can sit in his house and do video anytime he wants. I can't do that. Okay, not because I don't want to, but because I'm not able to based off certain circumstances. Okay, so as I said, I'm doing what I can, but I'm not just able to jump on any time of the day. I can't do that based on my circumstances. So hey, we're definitely gonna do it very soon, but I'm definitely gonna have to postpone it for a little bit just because of certain circumstances, which I find myself in. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, he said, yeah, that guy was just deceived and too hateful. Well, I mean, I think his hate was. Let me rephrase myself. I think his hate was justifiable because, the Most High hates. Okay, so his hate was justifiable. However, what was not justifiable is how he could, just come on and, not even answer a question which is, asked to him. That's not acceptable. So to hate, that is acceptable because even King David hates. Okay, so the Bible says that you can hate the other nations. However, with that being said, what he was doing is unacceptable because you can't just come on there and say, "Oh, well, you're this skin color," so that proves automatically that you're not an Israelite because the scriptures say that Israelites will look like all you know people. You know what I'm saying? So as I said, the guy, hey, look, we would try to be cool with the guy, and he's welcome to come on and talk. That's cool. But I mean, hey, look, you're not just going to be sitting there, spewing stuff out of your mouth, and then when we, challenge you on your statement, you're just going to continue to run your mouth. You're not doing that here, right? You can, just like the deacon would say, have a good night, right? You can, right? You can get lost. You know what I'm saying? So, anyway, here for the moment. Anyway, let me see. LP said, he was like, I have two black parents, so that means that I have a chance to get into the kingdom of God. But you guys don't just ridiculous. Well, let me say this. He definitely was going off because it doesn't matter, if he had two black parents. Okay, I mean, what does that have to do with anything? First of all, according to the scriptures, the lineage goes by the father's side of the family. Okay, so let's just say a couple hundred years back, a black man slept with a white woman, so the child might come out looking mixed, right? Mixed between two what's the word I'm looking for? Excuse me a moment. So the child will come out looking mixed between the two races, right? So if that continues to happen, eventually you're going to have people who look completely white who are actually Israelites, okay? By lineage, even though they look like, the other nations. Because it is true that Caucasians are the Edomites of the Bible. However, with that being said, that does not mean that every person who has that skin reflection is an Edomite. That's not true because we know that according to the scriptures, you will have certain people who are scattered throughout all nations who look like all nations. Okay? So it doesn't mean that everybody who has that type of skin tone is of that nation of people. That's not true. And that's what that coon was getting at. He was saying, well, because you guys, for an example, because I have white skin, the guys on there saying that I am an Edomite, right? The IETT am a Edomite. Okay, which that's clearly not true. Okay, even though I might look like a heathen, which I do, but that doesn't mean I am though, because you're gonna have Israelites who look like the heathen nations. Okay, so yeah, that brother was he doesn't know. That's all I'm gonna say. The brother don't know. Let me see. He said, "Yeah, I know your situation is tough, man. Yeah, as I said, man, it is what it is. You just got to Hey, the scriptures tell you when what is that? Ecclesiasticus, the second chapter, right? Whatever is brought upon you, take it cheerfully. And that, of course, that's easier said than done. Of course, that's easier said than done. But that's just that's the condition of the battle, so to speak. Okay, that's the condition of the battle, right? It's a path of difficulty, and that's what this truth is, right? We're not going to be on here like the Christian church will be, and tell you that when you come to follow, who they call Jesus, that things are just going to be fine and dandy for you, right? And that you're going to increase, financially, right? And life's just going to go well for you as when you, as they say, give your life over to Jesus, as they say. That's not true, man. The scriptures say that when you come to serve the Lord, you better, prepare your soul for temptation, right? Because you're gonna find yourself in some tough situations, man. Financially speaking, maybe with your family, friends, or just anything, man. Anything can happen. You know what I'm saying? But let's get a drink real quick. Um, bear for me a moment. All right. But yeah, man, that it speaks for itself, man. The scriptures are very clear. If you come to serve the Lord, you have to, be ready to go through some situations, man. You just have to be ready, right? My son, prepare your soul for temptation. That's what the scriptures say, right? And another thing as well, man. Oh, it just goes back into what I was talking with, Nephilim Free about. There's this one coon in the comment section. I don't remember the cat's name, but he was on there, and I went back and forth with him. He was on there talking about that. Oh well, Satan fell from heaven. I asked him, where does it say that? He don't know. He just knows. He knows repeats the same time. Well, that's the story. It's like, okay, well, where's the story at? And then he responds with, but that's the story. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. According to the scriptures, Satan never fell, right? Satan never fell and rebelled against the Most High. Where the hell is that in the Bible? That's not in the scriptures. Satan never rebelled against the Most High. According to the scriptures, Satan works for the Most High, right? God and Satan, are at peace with one another. And how can you prove that? Because if you go to what is that? Job, the second chapter, right? Satan went to the Most High, and they were basically, they were like, buddies. They were just having a conversation, like, hey, Satan, hey, look. hey, my servant Job, hey, how about you, how about you go test him, right? Go, I give you permission, hey, you can't kill him, but you can do what you like to him, but you have to spare his life. And Satan and God were like, oh yeah, because if you read it, Satan actually went to the Lord and they said, oh yeah, your servant Job, hey, you should let me, tempt him, because I'll tell you, hey, look, he's, with you right now, but if things bad start happening to him, he's gonna turn from you. So the Lord was like, you know what? Let's test that. So hey, Satan, I give you permission, go ahead and, bring evil upon Job, but you can do what you want, but you have to spare his life. So Satan went from the presence of God and brought that upon Job, and anyone can read the story themselves, right? So as we read, God and Satan, interact with each other, right? They're not necessarily enemies, so to speak. All right, Satan never rebelled against the Most High. Satan was made to be who he is. Okay, the story about Satan being kicked out of heaven, that's not in the scriptures. Let me see real quick. LP said, I beheld Satan from heaven as lightning. Let me look up the verse. Yeah, I'm familiar with this. He has it here, Luke 10 and 18. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. Now, what is that talking about? That's not talking about the spiritual demon Satan, because you got to understand this as well. Men can be referred to as Satan. That's why, what was it, Peter? Right, when Christ was going to be crucified, Peter stepped in the way and was like, "Oh, well, why would you do that? Just run somewhere else." But Christ said, "Get behind me, Satan." Okay, because the scripture has to be fulfilled, right? So men can also be Satan. Okay, I'll give an example. If you go to what is that? If you go to Isaiah the 14th chapter, dealing with the king of Babylon, it refers to the king of Babylon as Lucifer, right? It says, Lucifer, how has thou fallen from heaven? Now, somebody's going to use that to say, well, see, but that proves that Satan fell from heaven. That's not true. Because if you read the context, it's talking about the king of Babylon. And if you don't believe me, just go pull it up. Oh, and then here he put up a good point. He said, LOP said, yes, Satan means adversary. Right. And that's what it is. So a man can also be Satan. Okay. It just depends on the context which it's used in. Okay, and again, I'll give the example and I'll reiterate it. If you go read Isaiah the 14th chapter, it's talking about the king of Babylon, but it refers to him as Lucifer, right? So, which the word Lucifer just means the anointed ones. That's why you have, a group who calls themselves the Luciferians, right? Because the word Lucifer just means a anointed one, right? The enlightened ones. That's what the word means. So, and even Christ himself, said that he's the bright and the morning star, which means what? That he is the enlightened one, right? The anointed one, right? So Christ said that he himself is Lucifer, because the word Lucifer isn't a satanic and wicked name. That's not true. That's just a term that people think because that's how they were raised. But the word Lucifer just means um to be enlightened, okay, to know, okay, to be a one in the know. That's what the word means, okay. Let me see. LOP said, King of Tyrus, the passage in Ezekiel 28, ETT. What do you think about this? Is it talking about Lucifer? Can you put up the entire, verse for me here? Then I can read it. Just because where I'm at now, it's dark, so I don't have, light to read it on my own here at the moment. So, yeah, I'll have to look at it. But as I said, certain times in the scriptures where it refers to Satan, it does mean the spiritual demon Satan, but then certain other times when it uses the word Satan, it refers to a man. Okay, and I will give another example yet again. If you go to what is that? I want to say Revelation the what is that? 2 and 10, I believe. 3 and 10, something like that. Says that the devil should cast some of you into prison, but be faithful unto death, and I'll give you a crown of life. Right, but it says that the devil will cast some of you into prison. Now, does that mean the devil, like the spiritual devil, demon, right? Satan is going to do that? No, that means you're going to have some adversaries, right? Men who might cast you into prison. Oh, and that also is a good one because that cuts mine of God's doctrine about how all of the elect are going to be alive. Some of the elect are going to pass away, but they're going to be resurrected when Christ returns. That's why the verse I just quoted, I believe it's what is it? Revelation 2:10, Revelation 3:10, something like that. It says, "Be faithful unto death, and I will give you a crown of life." Right. So some of the elect are going to, they're not going to, um, be alive when Christ returns, but they're going to be resurrected. Okay. Let me see real quick. LP said, Christ said, "I am the bright and morning star." In Isaiah, he said, "Lucifer, son of morning." In some translations, it says Lucifer, morning star. Right. But as I said, it all just validates the statement I made. Okay. It all just, proves what I was saying. Um, so as I said, man, they're which I'm not gonna go for too long tonight, just because I have to watch my time now, because I only have like 2 hours left until my time runs out until the 24th. So I gotta be careful with my time here. Um, but going back to what I was saying, man, you know, as I said, it's evident, man, and this is why you have to read, or you have to study. A lot of our guys don't do that, man. They'll just say stuff to say, all right? But then when you ask them, well, how do you know? And then they say, well, they don't know. You know what I'm saying? Um, it just shows you, man. Like, I'll give another example, right? Nephilim Free, he does a great job um talking about, the whole evolution thing, right? Debunking, and disproving, the theory of evolution. So I will give him credit. I was just sitting back and listening to a 3 hour, live show he did the other day, talking about, the theory of evolution and how it's, not scientifically plausible. Right. So I'll give him credit where it's due. He knows a lot about that stuff, definitely more than I know on that topic. So I will give him credit. But then when it comes to, them skip G's inside joke, when it comes to those scriptures, you know, Nephilim Free will get cut 6 ways to Sunday. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to give credit where it's due, right? Some guys know a lot about certain topics, but then they go off on other topics, right? So you got to, just take the meat and you got to leave the bones, right? Because Nephilim Free was on there talking about, that God and Christ are the same people, right? Which is clearly off. I mean, hell, that guy said he don't know what Babylon the Great is. And he doesn't know if we're living in the last times now. So it shows you, man. Guy knows a lot, but then he clearly goes off. You know what I'm saying? Oh, and then they also said that the earth was created in 7 actual days, is what they were saying on their part of their live show. That's not true. If you read, the scriptures, it says that the days of creation, right? Each day represented um each day represented 1,000 years. Okay, the first day was 1,000 years, second day 1,000 years, so on and so forth, right? Each day represented a period of time, which was 1,000 years. Okay, so the entire story of creation from the first day to the seventh day, it just represented it just represented uh 7,000 years in its entirety. Okay, so as of today, because someone will ask how old is the earth, then Christians will be on there and talk about how the earth is 6,000 years old. That's not true. The earth isn't 6,000 years old. That was close. I'll give them credit. That's pretty close. But the earth, going by the story of creation, which we know is true, because you have to add the 7,000 years into the creation, right? And how long the earth's been around, right? So those 7,000 years, you know, we had to add in there. So that would mean that the earth is 12 and a half thousand years old. Okay, and I don't know the verse off the top of the head, but it's in the Apocrypha. It speaks about the earth is divided into 12 parts. 10 parts have already passed, but there remain two and a half parts that are left. And that was written, 400 years before Christ. So, that shows us that we have to be at the end of this thing, because that means that the earth has fulfilled its time, right? 10 parts already passed, 10,000 years already passed when it is written. But then there was, 2,000, 400, 2,500, years that were left over, right? 2,500 more years, left. So we're really on borrowed time right now, according to that scripture. Okay, so that was just a little hint that they gave. Of course, no man knows the day or the hour, right? So we're not going around, saying that we know that, of course. So I can't tell you when this is going to happen, but, we're definitely in that time period. Oh, and this cuts mine to God because he was on there saying that Christ is going to return in the year 2021. And for the record, ETT never said that Christ was going to return in any given year. I just said that, based on what we see, it's very likely that Christ will be returning within the next, few years here. Okay. But if it doesn't happen, then our calculation regarding, which again, let me phrase myself. We didn't say it that's going to happen. We said it's possible that Christ could return in that time period. But we can't go around saying, well, God told me this is going to happen. Because then if that doesn't happen, well, then that puts you in the spot that, like then. Just like mine of God, which I'll give him credit because he admitted that, if Christ doesn't return, within the next couple of months here, well, then you can't really take him seriously. And he admitted that, right? So I will give him credit that he stood by his word. I will give him credit where it's due, that he stood by his word, right? That he said that, if Christ doesn't return and the year turns 2022, well, then you can, question his teaching then because, he prophesied that Christ will return in 2021. So if that doesn't happen, it's like, oh, okay. Well, the mind of God, well, then God will admit that he was off. And again, I'll give him credit because he admitted that he would. Okay. So he will stand by his teaching, which is very respectable. All right. So I will definitely admit that. Um, but going back to what we're saying, man. Oh, which I have to mention this. I have to mention this. That one guy I like to watch. I think his name is the Angry Prepper. The Angry Prepper. Look him up on YouTube, right? The Angry Prepper. It's a big black guy over in New York, right? Calls himself the Angry Prepper. But he was doing a live show the other day. Usually talking about his prepping stuff, about this juice, everything going on. But he mentioned something in the show the other day, and he was saying, I won't quote it exactly correct, but I'll paraphrase what he said. But he was saying something along the lines of, oh yeah, those Hebrew Israelites, I remember walking past them, in the 90s, you know, and I thought they were all crazy, talking about this MOB, about this end of the world, all that. Oh yeah, those guys, are crazy, man. Those guys are crazy. But then he admitted, hey, look, I mean, those guys, man, hey, look, everything that they were talking about, we're seeing it happen right now. So he was like, really makes you wonder, that looks like they were right. And that's his words, man. He was saying, hey, look, those guys we thought were crazy, right? Just, screaming on the street corner at white people, holding up signs saying the world's gonna end. But he admitted, hey, look, I can't lie. What they're saying is happening right now. So even the Angry Prepper knows. And he's not really a religious channel. He just, does like doomsday prepping and stuff like that, which I know who he is because I watch his channel. But Elder Apostle Har pointed that out the other day at one of his recent streams. Right? He admits that. And he's not even one of the religious types. Right? So even he can admit that. Okay. So you know, is what it is. Bear with me a moment. Right. So going back to what I was saying, man, right now, you know, hey, look, man, the time is truly at hand. That's all I'm gonna say, man. Okay, so right now, you should be spending your time wisely, man. Right? Get more knowledge by reading the scriptures, right? Read more books, right? Watch more videos, right? Get deeper into the scriptures. And that's what I'll tell you right now, man. That's what you want to do. Okay? That's truly the best, investment that we can really do at the moment in time that we're in right now, man. Okay, is by, learning, the precepts because there's gonna come a time very soon, man, where things are about to go down, man. Because as I said, within the next 6 months, to a year, it's very likely, that you're not even gonna be able to enter into a establishment without, getting that juice, man, without getting that thing. So what are people gonna do when that happens? Which, hell, that could very well be the MOB, okay? Which, for the record, of course, we teach that the MOB is, RFID microchip. But with that being said, this thing going around, we don't know what the hell's in this. Okay, so it could be possible there might be, some type of, harmful stuff involved. So, I'll leave it at that. But yeah, man, as I said, you know, just too much that's going on right now, man. Okay, there really is. Okay, it's just it's evident right now, man, that we have to clearly be in those times, when Christ is going to, return, and do away, with Babylon the Great, man. And that's not my words, right? ETT didn't make that up. That's what the scriptures say. Okay, guys will hear us and they'll get mad at what we're saying. But it's like, well, wait, I didn't make it up. That's what the book says. That's what the scriptures say. And I thought, wait a second, I thought that America was a nation under God. Don't they say in God we trust on the back of the currency? Didn't George Bush say when he was in office that the Bible is the law of the land? Don't you guys have a song where you say God bless America, which you're referring to the God of the scriptures? You guys are guilty, man. Or it's evident, man. Hey, if you can't get it, well then you can't get it. But I mean, the evidence is there. Okay, as I said, part of being a man is just accepting the facts, right? And that's what we'll do, right? We'll accept the facts, right? We're not going to be emotional about it. It's a hey, look, it says that, so I will accept it, right? Even though I might not like it myself, but I will accept it because that's what the evidence, supports. Like for an example, if one's an evolutionist, right, believes that the world came you know, from nothing, because there's many people who came from that theology into, the topic of the flat earth, and then they'll admit, hey, look, I don't know who made this place, or what, right? I don't know who the makers were, but hey, look, now that I, knew this flat earth stuff, now I'm convinced that the world was intelligently designed. Like even, let me give an example. Even one guy I like to listen to, right, the author of The Most Dangerous Superstition, right, Larkin Rose. He's people assumed he was an atheist, but actually he said that he doesn't know what made the world, but he admits that it definitely could not have just happened by evolution, right? He just admits that evolution totally could not happen, to create the world that we're living in. And again, he's not a creationist. He doesn't subscribe to the scriptures, but even he will admit that evolution, is certainly not possible, just by scientific, evidence. Um, let's see real quick. Hey, Shalom, fresh and new. Welcome to the show. He said the English inside joke. The English language is responsible for much of the confusion about the Bible and its spiritual principles. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and that's why, just a little fun fact out there, they say that the hardest, or I should say the most difficult, language to learn is the English language. Now, why is that? Now, of course, to us that might seem strange because we were raised with that, that language, right? Just like the people in China, Chinese is easy for them to speak because that's how they were raised. Okay, and same goes for all the other, languages. But the reason why the English language is difficult to understand is because certain words can sound the same but have totally different meanings. I'll give an example. If I say where, right, what are you wearing? Or where are you going? Okay, just for an example, the word sounds the same, right? But it's being used in different contexts. Okay, so you have to be able to understand what context the word is being, used in, right? So that's why English is a very difficult language for, a newcomer to learn. Okay, going by that one reason alone. Okay, which again, you can look it up yourself, but they say that the hardest language, to learn, or I should say the most difficult, because some would say hardest is not a word. I'd say it is a word, but the most difficult language to learn is the English language. I'll leave it at that. Um, LP said, English, inside joke, has the largest amount of words out of all languages that exist. Oh, that's a good point. Then he said the largest vocabulary. Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, hell, man, you'll come across words. If you read a book, man, you'll come across many different words that you never even heard about before. So you might have to look it up and say, oh, what does this word mean? And I'll give an example. I was just reading a book, I want to say a few weeks ago. I was reading a book called oh damn, what is that book? It's basically let me see if I can think of it. It's called it's something about like Prepper's Water, guide or something like that. Everything that you need to know about water, how to properly store it, how to you know sterilize it, how to collect it, all of that. You can look that book up on Amazon. You can probably find it. Very little book, but a lot of great information in that. So I finished that, but I'll tell you, man, found a lot of words in that book I've never even heard about. Probably a good, I'm not even going to lie, man, probably a good 25 words in that little ass book, man. The book's only like 200 pages long. Okay. Um, Bear with me a second. LP said, not really. I will say this, when you really study English, you can master it, but you got to start when you are below 18 years old. Well, I'm saying that for a newcomer, right? For one who's new into it, it's going to be difficult for them to learn. That doesn't mean that they can't learn it. Of course not, but it's more difficult than the other languages, according to statistics. Of course, for us, it's not difficult because we were raised with that language, right? So that's easy for us to understand. Let me see. LP said, actually, let me go back up. Fresh and New said the ancient Brits were very equipped in magic, and they had secret meanings in their language, like the real name of the creator isn't God, it's Elion. Um, yeah, man. As I said, a lot of stuff dealing with the ancient people, was of course a mystery. Like for an example, the language, right? The Egyptians, right? They had one way people would use words back then, well, is they would just show like little hieroglyphics, right? Little images, and they would know, okay, so this means this, that means that, this one means this, right? So it'd be difficult, but if they were raised with that system, it would be more, you know, digestible, for lack of better words, be easier to comprehend because that's how they were raised, right? With that system, okay, of just symbols, right? And that's really what letters are, right? Letters, they're really just symbols, right? But we were all raised to know what they mean, right? So since this starts young, it's very simple for us to digest. Just like back then, since it started out for them young, they could grow up and learn. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let me see. Let's see real quick. LP said, I started learning English as a kid, but try reading James Joyce. Hard for native English speakers to read. He uses all words that exist. Right. Let's see. Fresh and New said in English, God is dog backwards because there is a constellation that looks like a dog and they base their magic on it. Right, right. The word God in the English language, all you got to do is flip it around and it means the word dog, right? So that just shows you, man, right? They mess around with words. Um, Let me see. Which we're not going to go for too much longer because actually, believe it or not, there's a storm rolling in on me here, so I got to get going while the going's good in just a few minutes. We'll go for another 5 minutes. We'll round it out at an hour. Um, but yeah, if there's any last minute questions anyone wants to throw in here, you're welcome to. We'll answer them within the next 5 minutes here. You guys joined the show a little late, man. but that hey, that's all right. Um, but going back to the name of the video, man, our salvation is nearer than what we believe, man. Our salvation is near right now. Okay, and that's why all these UFOs are being sighted all over the world right now, right? UFO sightings are happening every single day, man, by the hundreds, possibly even by the thousands, right? Because everyone who sees it doesn't always have a phone on, so they can't always record it. Okay, but it doesn't mean that they didn't see it. You know what I'm saying? So we really don't know how many sightings are happening each day and each week, but they're definitely in the hundreds, man, if not thousands. Okay, because look, it just shows us, man, that that to the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ or Yahweh Shai. It's clearly coming back, man. All right, so we just got to continue in this thing of ours, man, because we see the reward, which is what the kingdom, right? It's right around the corner. But of course, I should say, don't believe these guys like mine of God. Don't believe them when they tell you that you're gonna just skip right into the kingdom and not have to go through any type of adversity. That's not true. The elect, God's elect, have to go through a time of trouble to enter into Christ's kingdom. Okay, some of the elect are going to, they're not going to make it, as in they're going to be put to death, some of them. And I already proven it because if you go to, what is that, Revelation, the 20th chapter? It speaks about those who were beheaded for the witness of Christ, right? And they sat on thrones with Christ in the kingdom, right? So those are some of the elect. So as I said, don't believe all these guys out here, man. They're leading a lot of you astray, man. Right, making you think that you're just gonna, you know, have a cakewalk into Christ's kingdom. That's not true. Because if you go to what is that? It's even in the Gospels. If you go, I believe it's John the 16th chapter. Christ said, "Now, hey, look, in me you will have peace, but in the world you will have tribulation." Okay, so in the world, and that's not even talking about the time of trouble, which is coming upon us here. That's not even talking about that. That's just saying for on an average day, you're going to have tribulation because the word tribulation means trouble, right? A hardship, right? So Christ said, hey, look, in me you'll have peace, but in the world you'll have trouble, right? So that particular time when the word was mentioned, that wasn't talking about the time of tribulation. That wasn't talking about that. That was just saying that you're going to have trials, right? So by reading that, how could we then conclude that the elect will not have to go through the time of great trouble? You see, you know what I'm saying? As I said, man, just be diligent with these guys out here, man. They say things which are right, but they also say things which are incorrect. Let me see. Bear with me a moment. Opie said, let me see. He said, yes, it's near. Say, hope mine of God is right, that it will be within 4 to 6 months. Which, as I said, buddy, listen here. Don't get your hopes up on that, right? Don't get your hopes up on that. Because I'll tell you, man, is that possible? Could Christ return in that time? And the answer to that question would be yes. However, with that being said, first the prophecy of the MOB has to come to pass. If that doesn't happen, Christ can't return. Okay, so don't believe these guys. And this is what the church teaches. They teach that at any moment on any given day, Christ could return and gather the elect on any given moment of any given day. Right? It could be right now. It could be this morning at like 10 o'clock. It could be in 2 days from now. That's what they teach. That's not true. That's why the scriptures say, Matthew 24:29 on down, immediately after the tribulation of those days will the Son of Man return. So Christ isn't returning today. He's not returning tomorrow. He's not returning until after the Great Tribulation. So saying that Christ could return at any time is not correct. However, with that being said, it is certainly near. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it is definitely near. Okay, it is very close, very near to us. Okay, but first, the tribulation has to happen, and that the MOB has to be fulfilled. So yes, Christ could return very soon, but not until those prophecies are fulfilled. Oh, and now I also want to, throw this out there. If you read Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1, what does it say? It says, "These are things that the Lord sent to show his prophets of things that must shortly come to pass." Right? These are things that have to shortly happen before Christ returns. Okay, so as I said, man, don't believe these guys out here. Which again, I'm not at all hating on the mind of God. Right? I'll respect his viewpoint, but I'm just gonna tell you, man, be diligent because that's not true. The elect have to go through trouble. And some of the elect will be put to death for the name of Christ, right? For the name of Yahushua. Okay. Let me see. Hey, I see Awaken a Pennsylvanian in the back chat here. I'm gonna bring you on. Um, hey, two-letter J's here as well. Let me just drop a fresh link in the chat. Bear with me a moment. Hey, what's going up? What's going on, PA?
Hey man, what's up?
Hey, I'm surviving, man. I'm surviving. How about yourself?
Yeah, man, same here, man. Same here. It's rough out there, man.
Oh, I hear you, man. I hear you. As I said, man, you just got to take it one day at a time. That's just the way that I look at it. You just got to, hey, the scriptures say whatever is brought upon you, you got to take it cheerfully. Of course, it's not easy to do, but that's just the condition of the battle. That's how I like to look at it.
Yeah, man. I mean, once you awaken to everything, um, just like you just see how everything is rigged and how everything's stacked against you. Like you see a lot of these, the thing here, especially here in the West and particularly here in the United States, they have it's. I call this what's that word I'm looking for? It's this like fake optimism in this country. It's like, everything is this, oh, everything's supposed to be all jolly and hunky dory and you're supposed to be happy all the time. There's supposed to be nothing wrong. And it's just
Right.
this fake optimism here.
Yeah, yeah, man. I hear you. Hey, let me just respond to a comment in the comment board real quickly. Creation Bear put up a comment, which says Shalom, Creation Bear. Welcome to the show. But he said, "Life hasn't been a cakewalk, ETT. Wouldn't you say we've been going through tribulation our whole lives?" Well, I would say this, that we've all been going through certain calamities and misfortunes our whole life, but we have certainly not went through a great tribulation, right? A time of trouble like never before. First of all, most of us have never lived through a natural disaster. That doesn't mean that none of us did. Some of us could have, but no, we certainly have not went through a great time of trouble, right? Some of us might have patched many misfortunes and adversities. I can speak from my own experience, but no, we definitely haven't went through, a great tribulation, as of now. So I just had to answer that. Anyway, I'll throw it back to you.
Oh yeah, I mean, in the sense of like roughness and how our lives have been and how the whole how this whole system works is, yeah, I mean, it's troubling. It's like a battle. Every day is a battle. And um it's just it's a stressful place. And people, I just look at people and it's like, how can you people be like how can you find this acceptable? Like, do you just ever like sit there and just see how these people are just like mindless slaves and robots, and you just look at them like, how are you guys okay with this stuff? Like, how are you just okay with that? It's just it's mind boggling, you know, just to say at least.
Yeah, yeah. Real quick, let me just say this. Just to clarify, right? When Christ said in John the 16th chapter, right, that in me you'll have peace, but in the world you have tribulation. The word tribulation means, right, a misfortune or a trouble. So yeah, we've had many troubles and misfortunes, but we have not yet went through the great tribulation, which is a time of trouble that was never seen before, right? We're in the birth pains, and you can read Matthew 24, Mark 13, to name a couple of examples. That's why we're seeing all these natural disasters, kicking off at a great rate. But really, if you look at history, the time that we're living in right now, a lot of us, believe it or not, we're actually more, what's the word I'm looking for? We're living better than some of the richest kings in history. And how can I give that example? because we have, let me give an example. You have fans, right? You have a fan, you could lay in bed, be fanned. They didn't have that back then. They had to sit in a hot ass room, back then, right? So we have the internet, right? You can be entertained by sitting at our house. You have cold food in the refrigerator, you can heat it up yourself. So really we have delicacies compared to, kings and rulers throughout history, how they had it, right? But yeah, we're definitely going through, some trials and misfortunes. But no, we definitely haven't went through the time of trouble that's spoken about, in the scriptures. Anyway, I'll throw it back to you.
Well, that is a good point that you made, but I think even though we have a lot more luxuries in that sense, as like there's fans, there's you know refrigerators, there's video
Cars.
games, huh?
I said transportation,
Yeah,
vehicles.
yeah, yeah, like vehicles. You don't have to take like a horse anymore or walk. Or there's movies, there's electricity, there's hot and cold water on demand, there's showers. You can you go in the bathroom, a heated bathroom, and use the bathroom and not have to go out in the cold or the hot into an outhouse. Even though they didn't have those luxuries then, I think there's a lot more mental stress. I think like there's a lot more anxiety and stress, and I think people are more um divided and more separated than they were years ago. There's always a
Yeah,
trade-off
I
to
do agree.
there's always a trade-off to something. Like, even though people didn't have those things, I think a lot of the technology and stuff is making people more, more what's that word? More submissive and more slave-like to the system.
Right, right. I absolutely do agree with that. And I'll give an example. A few hundred years ago, rent would probably be maybe a couple $100 compared to today, where, I mean, hell, you can't find certain apartments. And I can speak from experience, right? A one bedroom apartment, we used to have one that was like, $1,600 a month, right? So yeah, back then, things were a lot cheaper than what they are, in our time now, right? So they had it better in that sense. But yeah, there's definitely, certain trade-offs, a mental, you know, uh, uh, one in our time now, absolutely. But going back to the brothers, thing that he was saying, is, hey, look, we haven't really went through the time of great trouble yet that the scriptures, speak about, right? So that's basically what I was, getting out there, because mind of God's out there, telling all the people that, hey, look, you don't have to go through anything. It's all going to be a cakewalk. God's elect will not have to experience any type of trouble. But yet we can clearly read in the text where Christ clearly said, hey, look, you're gonna have to go through some things, right? Some of the elect, according to what is that, Revelation, I want to say the third chapter, 10th verse, some of the elect are even gonna be put in prison. Whereas that's gonna be a very, stressful, time, that's gonna, come upon, the Lord's people, in the near future. Okay, so anyway, I'll throw it back.
Yeah, man. I mean, excuse me. They both sound like very good ideas and very good theories. My big concern is if it's going to even really happen. I mean, we really like truly don't know what's going to happen. We have, everyone has very good observations and very good theories, and they all sound great. But we in the end, we truly don't know what's going to happen. Which part is it like? What could happen. We don't know any of those could be possible, but like which one's going to happen even if it does happen. And I'm so fed up with this place. I just can't wait till something just happens. I don't care what it is. I just want to get out of this place, man. It's just so bad here, man.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Definitely, hey, definitely something big's on the horizon. That's all I can say, man. I mean, just statistically speaking, I mean, just looking at everything right now, I mean, it's very clear that, something has to go down in the very near future, man. There's just too much that's going on right now. People are too desperate and trying to
Well,
survive here. But here now you also have people who are living in luxury, right? Can never have to work a day in their life, right? So it just shows you that this can't go on for much longer. It can't statistically. The people are going to rise up and overthrow this eventually. It just there's too much that's happening. I'll throw it back
well,
to you.
well, yeah, that's true. I was sitting here and thinking, I mean, it's crazy because, the way the system is, it can't keep going on the way it is. You're absolutely right. I mean, you got, the birth rates are plummeting. The inflation is getting out of hand. I mean, jobs are not even paying close to what people need for a comfortable life. You got feminism. You got all these things, and all these things, like feminism and the corruption. And I'm looking at it, and it can't go on. Like something has to happen. Like something's going. There's going to be a breaking point. I mean, if anyone expects the system just to be like it is and still keep continuing, is just it can't. It's gonna burst. It's
Right,
gonna
right.
all.
I definitely do agree with you. Anyway, man, I was only going for a little while tonight. You joined when I was starting to close the show up here, and the reason why is because it's pouring on me right now. So I am gonna have to get going in a minute here. But yeah, man, if you can, just send me a message on the what is it, the Gmail, so we can do the another stream about the whole teenage myth, in the future, man, because I know we wanted to do that.
Yeah, man. I said maybe Saturday sounds good, but it's gonna have to be like around noon, maybe like 11, 12. If you can manage, make time for that, that'd be great.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds good, man. Just send me another message on that, just so I have you, because I have a lot of emails on there, so it'll be hard for me to scroll through. So if you can, just send me a new one so I have you at the top of it, and then yeah, man, I'll reach out to you, and we can definitely do a show on that.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
man, go ahead.
Oh, I said yeah, absolutely.
All right, that sounds good, man. But yeah, yeah, as I said, man, sorry to close the show up early on you here, but I've been you joined the show a little late tonight, and I had to close up because of the storm that's
Hmm.
coming upon me here. So but yeah, man, I thank you for stopping by, to chat for a little bit.
Yeah, man. No, no, no problem. I like to
All
I
right,
like to
sounds
catch you
good.
when I like to catch you when I can.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's always that's always cool, man. It's always cool to come on and have a little dialogue. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, man. What have you been up to lately? Just so I can.
Oh, just the usual, just working and existing, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you. Right, mind the God's out there just playing golf, all day. That's what he said he does with his spare time, which
Oh,
I don't blame him. I mean, hell, yeah,
I
yeah. I
go.
mean, I don't blame him. I don't blame it at all. As I said, there's definitely not a whole lot to do, right now, right? It's a whole bunch of boredom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Here in Babylon 3.
Well,
But go
the
ahead.
thing is, the thing is too, is like everything like you want to do is like it's just super expensive. It takes money sometimes to do things like you want to do. You know,
Oh, absolutely,
Unfortunately, money can be a very
absolutely.
big money can be a money can be a very big factor in doing things you want to do. It's because in America, it's everything's like expensive, and no one's really close, and there's no community, and everything's so regulated, and it makes it really hard.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I hear what you're saying. I do agree with you on that. But anyway, man, I thank you for stopping by, the chat with me a little bit.
Yeah, man. So
But yeah,
I got
man,
all right, man.
go
I
ahead.
guess you're heading out, so I
Yeah,
guess
yeah,
I'll.
man. Yeah, yeah, it's storming on me here, man. So I gotta close the show a little early just because it's pretty big downpour here.
All right, brother.
All right. Well, anyway, man, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, man. Next time you see us live, if you can join us a little earlier, man, we'll definitely bring you on the show for a longer chat.
Yeah, yeah, dude. I'm always down.
All right. Sounds
All right,
good,
brother.
man. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your night, man.
Yeah, you too, man.
All right, shalom.
All right, bye.
All right, guys. I wanted to go for a little longer with the brother on there because I always enjoy, talking with our brother, Wake in Pennsylvania. But I don't know if you can hear it behind me, but I'm in a pretty big storm here, so I'm gonna have to close the show up a little early here because I'm not sure if it's gonna affect the volume. But I'm not able to hear that good, through the water hitting the top of the car. You know what I'm saying? If anybody's been in the car, when it's downpouring, you know what I'm talking about, especially if it's sitting still. But anyway, you know, um, I thank everyone for joining me tonight. And if anybody made this far into the video, go ahead and put hashtag awaken in the comment section. Anyway, with that being said, all praise to Yahweh and Son Yahweh Shai, and I'm going to say shalom.